Mm.
Hey, welcome everyone to the Bison Brothers Basketball Podcast. My name is Chip Washington, self-appointed Bison basketball fanatic.
Oh man, and I'm Bryan Beast Move Foston, former hooper turned almost excellent golfer. But I'm still a hoop fan. I just do it from the sideline. I do it from the sideline.
Hey,
So Chip,
you're a better golfer than me, so there's that.
yeah, yeah. I still owe you strokes, so I got to work on that. I got to work on that. It's good to
No
see you,
doubt.
my brother. This has been a long time coming.
Hey, it has. Good to see you as well, my Bison brother from another mother.
Woo!
Yes,
Yeah, this
sir.
is
Yes,
good. We've
sir.
we've been looking forward. We've been looking forward to this for a little bit. I know that I was anxious to get on after you did your intro episode. I do need to correct you though. You got everybody hyped up thinking I've been, traveling the world seeing Bison basketball as the big fan that I am since the early '90s. But I wasn't there, bro. I actually I was a little busy. I was trying to
Yeah.
get into this fraternity I pledged, and it was going on around the same time you all jetted over to Dayton and got a chance to see Kansas. But I did vow that from that day forward, that anytime we made it back, I would go. I just didn't know it'd be 30 years, but I was
Yeah.
glad I could make it. I'm glad I
Hey,
can make it. So
hey.
definitely glad. I'm a alum that became a fan overnight. It seems like so now I'm all over being a fan.
No doubt, no doubt. And hey, look, since you've been back, after 30 years, the men had back-to-back
What?
championships. So
Oh,
hey, so that means you got to keep coming
I got to keep
to
coming.
all the tournament games.
And the ladies won their first NCAA game when I got a chance to go see them as well. I'm down here in not too far from you in the southeastern part of the country, and I got a chance to get down to see them win our first NCAA basketball tournament ever. So game ever. So oh yeah, I'm in. I'm definitely in.
No
Definitely in.
doubt.
So what are we talking about today, man? What's on tap for
So
today?
I figured what we do today is, since the first episode, we kind of did a big focus on the men's program and kind of, Coach Blakely and that narrative. Wanted to give Coach Ty Grace a little bit of her flowers, kind of what she's been doing with the women's program, especially since they started out with 2 dubs. And,
Hmm.
we'll talk about the ladies first for a little bit and then switch over
Yeah, I
to the
like
men.
that.
So,
I like that.
you
It's a
know,
good call. I like starting with the winning record. Maybe that's me.
hey,
I like
hey, I can't be mad at that. Can't be mad at that.
So let's
No
talk
doubt.
Ty Grace, man. She's awesome, man. What are you most impressed about her in terms of her approach?
So, what most impressed me was, I believe she got there, in 2015. And
Mm,
that 2015 record, kind of similar to when Coach Blakely first got there, they were 4-12 in the MEAC,
mm.
7-24 overall. That's a hard start to a program. But ever since she got there, you look at the next 8 years, there was only one losing season from a non-conference standpoint. So she's had all winning seasons
Wow.
since she has arrived on campus.
Mm.
And, that's just impressive to me.
That's
So
super impressive. Absolutely. And how do you think she's been able to pull that off? I know we're just now under Kerry Davis been really focused on our athletics and building kind of the infrastructure to support, being a championship type culture. What do you think Coach Grace has been able to kind of harness with our teams?
I think she has, I've attended a few of her practices, or at least just one of her practices, and her attention to detail, like her standard, from what I can see, is she holds everyone accountable in practice.
Mm,
She has a certain standard that she wants the players to play at, and if they don't, practice is stopped. There may be a little yelling here and there, but she holds the players to a high standards. And like I said, you look at the results. The players seem to love playing for her. And like I said, looking at her results over the last 8 years, all winning seasons or mostly winning seasons. Got a MEAC championship in 2021,
Mm-hmm.
2022 season. Like, so yeah, I'm encouraged with the direction that she has taken the program and will continue to take the program. So.
Yeah, no, I agree. I know, like I said, I've been able to follow them more closely, really over the last couple of years. Having a couple of daughters that decided to go to Howard gave me more inside access to see the teams and go to some of the games. And I agree. Coach Grace, is her attention to detail is like no other. I think her ability to empower and hold her teams accountable allow you to know that she's building like a program, right? So she can actually recruit for people to be part of the culture, not just good talent. And so, yeah, you're right. The last several years of them winning has been nothing short of amazing, especially given maybe some of the injuries that we were unfortunate towards the end of seasons. We were never in a position where we weren't trying to compete for championships, which is huge. It's very huge.
Right,
Absolutely.
right. So, I like her. They got a really good social media presence. When you look at her, the team's Instagram profile,
Mm,
they really promote the program. I'm impressed with, like I said, from a leadership standpoint, like we talked about, offline before the podcast, they have
yeah.
a host of hashtags that define and kind of represent their program, and it's hashtag Bison behavior,
Yes.
hashtag Mecca made, hashtag dog mentality, one of my favorites,
One of my
but then
favorites.
hashtag championship culture, and
Uh,
that's the one that really stood out for me. And again, like I said, again, looking at her, her past or the past 8 years building the winning teams that she has, it's clear that she is focusing on a championship culture with the women's program. So very, very excited about what they're set to do.
yeah, I like the championship culture because they highlight that H and U in there. You know how we like to see HU kind of stand out, so they play on the HU
Yeah.
legacy, and I think that's really cool as well. So you're right, man. Their social media presence. I love the fact that they tend to give you more inside kind of the personalities of the team, so you feel like you get to
Mm-hmm.
know all the players. And then, of course, I see why you like dog mentality, just because your affiliation with canines. But I think that for me, the fun part is that you can see it play out on the court. So it's like they can be demure and just all in. They're very socially conscious, as you see a lot of our lady athletes are. But to take that to the court and they just kind of get down and compete, that's what gets it exciting. I'm hoping to see more people in the stands because if you want to see some really good competitive basketball, Coach Grace and those guys are bringing it every night, every night.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
No doubt.
This is good.
Yeah.
So I know with their build up and the presence and getting going, we're into the season now, right? So we're in the first full week of kind of play. What did we had a couple of games this week. I think we started off with good old Florida A&M University out of Tallahassee. Those used to be some conference foes. They decided to move on to another conference, but they still bring a competitive spirit of basketball. So to start our season off with a conference foe or former conference foe seems like a really good way to kind of get the juices flowing. What are some of the things you saw during the first game? I know you were able to take that in almost real time when it's been kicked off earlier
Yeah.
this week.
Yeah. One of the main things that I saw, and even the announcers during the game kind of mentioned it, was from the tip, the
Mm,
intensity. You would have thought it was the end of the season. I
right.
mean, both teams came out the gate very intense, defensive focus, offensive focus. I mean, just, I was like, wow, I couldn't believe, you expect some sloppiness in the first game and, maybe a little lack of communication or something like that. There was none of that. It was Sugar Ray Leonard, Thomas Hearns. Like they were going back and forth. And kind of what was really cool for me
Mm.
was, and kind of looking at the women's roster, there were several players in the first quarter that kind of made it on my own players to watch list. We have we got a very experienced team, a lot of seniors, juniors,
even some grad
got
students.
one freshman, and and we got a grad student, and so we got one freshman on the squad, and she's the point guard, and it's Sanaya, I believe it's Sanaya. Is it King? Make sure I get her.
Yeah, that's it. Sanaya King.
There's no way you could tell me that she was a freshman. The poise, the swag, the attitude, and like I said again, this was from the tip. And so she, as a freshman, she controlled the pace. She's probably calling you right now to tell you how good of a game she had.
Yeah, it's actually hilarious.
But yeah, she controlled the game from the get-go. And so, like I said, as a freshman, she immediately just kind of became one of my players to watch. I mean, she had no fear in this game. She, assists were up. Just the, like I said, controlling the pace of the game, making shots, playing good defense, and then of course the reigning past MEAC Player of the Year graduate, Destiny Howell.
Destiny.
She started off a little slow. She had the year off with the injury, but once she got going, lights out. I mean, it's one of those subjective things. Like, I looked at the games, it looked like she wanted to tell everybody, I'm back. So I was like, okay. And then a dark horse that kind of came up for me was Marissa Steele, number 5. Hustle, and hustle. She was all over the court, defending, making timely shots, getting rebounds. I mean, you can't win without the dirty work. And Marissa was doing the dirty work. So I'm expecting her to keep that up all season. And and one other kind of observation I had about the game was FAMU. I think we were favored, right? We were, because FAMU is kind of, they're still rebuilding their program.
They had a lot of building up to do.
But they fought the Bison hard. And, we went up double digits a few times, but FAMU fought back. And so I just appreciated the grit, because they could have easily taken FAMU for granted. First game, rebuilding program. But FAMU brought the noise, and Howard stood up to the challenge, fought off the challenge, and got the W. So very impressed.
That's awesome, Chip. And I like the way you highlighted the fact that you saw the grit early, right? Sometimes in the non-conference schedule, that's where you kind of figure out your identity, and you're trying to kind of figure out, basically get ready for conference play and hope to kind of figure out your character of your team, so that going into tournament play, you have an understanding of how you make them play for March Madness. And so for the first first game, and even like the next game we'll talk about here, to see them kind of demonstrate what they've been building over time. It goes back to what you said about Coach Grace and how she's really building a championship culture, Mecca made, right? Dog mentality, where she's able to kind of show you that from day one, we're not waiting to kind of grow into this. And with a more senior team, it's really cool to see how people are really taking that to heart and playing extremely hard. I did get a chance to catch the replay, and I will agree with you that the intensity of the game is really reminiscent of a lot of the women's basketball games we've been watching over the last couple of years, with some of the folks that have now become household names, where they've always had the competitive spirit we may have always been watching, but now I expect them to be playing a competitive level of ball from tip to the buzzer. And to see them do it so early is actually really encouraging. I'm hoping to get to some of the games as they travel, around the country, for some of these non-conference games that I can get to as well.
Yeah, definitely.
And so they did. So they got through, squeak by FAMU, Florida A&M, and of course Florida A&M still rebuilding. So I expect them to make some noise in the SWAC, later this year as they're starting to get their feet under them. But then they turned their attention to a local school on Friday night, and they were able to clash with George Washington, a neighboring school. It's a couple of blocks away in DC. For those who don't go all the time, it feels like it's a long way, but it's only a few blocks away. I know we weren't able to watch the video for that. They kind of got us going, and we had to kind of track it by good old fashioned stats. Were there any trends you saw or anything you would care to kind of see what did you see or glean from the second game, since they did pull that out in a very close victory, 3-point victory over GW.
One of I'm gonna call it the silliest trend, but I think Destiny probably might have been a little, upset that she had a slow start in the FAMU game. I believe within 9 seconds she put up the first 3. So she was shooting. I think she wants again to tell everybody, y'all can forgive me if you want to, but I'm back. So I like that she came out, at least, like I said, looking at the stats, she started off shooting a lot and connecting. So
I'm glad she's back. Our 3-point shooting is something that we don't always have that available to us. We play a lot of defense, a lot of get in a lot of rebounds, but to see our 3-point shooting, starting off the year a little over 40% from the field, that means she's back. And just want her to stay healthy so we can enjoy her raining threes from the locker room.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And I like the fact that they got off to a big lead, but of course, GW made a run. Well, when I say of course, but that kind of tends to happen during games sometimes. Is, the other team will make a run, but for them to again find a way to eke out that win, I think it just shows where this program is headed. And I know, later when we get into our overreactions and underreactions, you'll see where I'm headed with that. But
yeah, I can't wait. I gotta wait. Make sure we get some what do you call it? Chips tips. Now you've been analyzing like some of the best pros out there, so we can't wait to hear what you're with the limited segment of data that you've been able to kind of pull in. I'm sure you got some insights that'll be helpful not only for our team, Coach Grace and the team, but even the fans that are trying to understand why they should tune in and what they should look for. So looking forward to that. So yeah, definitely looking forward to over and under reactions for sure. So with that, man, like I wanted to make sure as I'm looking at the first 2 games, what did stand out for me was there's a commitment to defense that I think has always been there, but the fact is that with the size we have, we can stand toe to toe with pretty much any team, especially in our non-conference schedule. And what I'm looking for is to see how do we start to kind of mold multiple kind of looks that we can kind of bring to teams. So when they think they have us figured out, we can flip it on them. We can go big or even go a little bit small at times. But to your point, we have a really mature team. And even with our freshman point guard, I think she's benefiting from having a pretty senior team that knows how to play. And so I'll be sad when we get the first loss, whatever that is. But because I know the non-conference schedule will give us a chance to see who we really are, I'm kind of excited to see what we learn before we get into conference play after the holiday.
Mm-hmm. No doubt.
Yeah.
No doubt.
So talk to me, man. So you've been able to get some observations there. So let's talk overreactions, underreactions. What are you seeing?
So my overreaction, based on the way we're going now, I mean, so I think the best record that Coach Grace had when she was here was 21-10, and I think it was 11-3 in the MEAC. I mean, I could see 4 losses total.
Wow.
And again, okay. And I know you always here to reel me back in, but
I hear.
But what I'm thinking though is, like I said, because it's such an experienced squad, And we both know in this transfer portal area, this NIL area, you got a lot of young teams, even though it doesn't really affect, it's not as bad on the women's side, but having an older team seems to be a recipe for success in this current era of college basketball. And so the fact that we have a very, very experienced women's team, I don't think it's too far-fetched to say we're going to have, well, actually, it is far-fetched because that's why I'm calling it an overreaction. So, but we're putting it here first. 4 losses total. Bison, Coach Grace, championship culture.
Wow. Well, I like the fact that you swing for the fences, my brother. You've always been a dreamy sort of brother. So I love the fact that you continue to hold that quality I admire very dear. I think it's going to be fun to see where we go. I would love to enjoy the fact of telling you you've been right all along when we only lose a couple of games. However, to bring you back, just remember, the way we get to the championship is not through all the wins. We may get better seeding. So to your point, my underreaction is I think we're going to wind up with a pretty decent record in the non-conference play, which will give us more status when it comes time to matching up. So again, we still got to win our conference. We still got to win the BA tournament, but for placement purposes, the chance of us having to play a play-in game is greatly reduced based on our non-conference schedule. So if we continue to play like we're playing now, it'll be hard for us to sit on the lowest or the highest seed line. So I do think that, barring any health challenges, we will remain competitive. That's what Coach Grace has put in place. But I think that for us, I just need some health and identity to come through. So I don't need 4 losses. I need more wins than losses in the non-conference schedule. That's my under reaction. Any other under reactions for you?
So my underreaction, and this is kind of program wide, I would say kind of a global underreaction, is because we have so many experienced players, what is next year going to look? Are we going to have a drop off next year because so many players will leave in the program? So that's kind of my underreaction, like in the direction. But I got faith in Coach Grace. She's because she has such a winning culture, I don't think she's going to have any issue attracting people to the program. I mean, we got one transfer already from the SEC, Saniyah from Kentucky. So as we continue to build that championship culture, I'm sure she can re-up and restock. But that is my underreaction. There's just a global worry about how next year is going to look because we have so many players that will be leaving the program.
So I got an overreaction for you.
All right.
I think we got at least 2 WNBA prospects on the team right now, based on our senior team, right? Mm-hmm. I think based on just how things are playing out, you named a couple of them, but Destiny Howell coming back for her last year eligibility, she's a prospect. She can shoot the ball with the best of them. I do think that for me, the person I'm keeping my eye on based on just how things are playing out here is Marissa Steele, because she has size. And we saw Angela Reese. She's like she can play like that. So I just know that I think we got at least 2 pro prospects on the team right now. But that's my overreaction because I'm seeing the talent and they're showing up. And like I said, if they have that non-conference schedule we're talking about, they'll be on the radar for some folks. Yeah. That's me. See.
Well, and actually, look, for Destiny, that might not be an overreaction because even during the broadcast on the FAMU game, they mentioned that she was on the the WNBA radar. So maybe your Marissa Steele would be the overreaction.
I'm just saying that I think that in order for her to shine, the program's going to see more people than just Destiny. I think Destiny's going to get the looks because she's a real deal. But the way she goes, and some people are going to get some shine because of her. I think that based on the way it works, you got to have that inside game that allows you to be able to play off of what Destiny can do. But that's me. That's me being, my overreaction is that it's multiple people. Overreactions, multiple.
I'll
Right.
take it. I'll take it.
Cool. So who's up next for our Lady Bison? Because we think we got a couple of games coming up even tomorrow, or I mean on Sunday rather. Sunday
Right,
and
Sunday, November 10th. So November 10th, they got VCU
mm,
at 2:00, and then November 13th they have Mount St. Mary's at 7 p.m.
wow. Okay.
Yeah,
So let's start to get into the flow here. Any
yeah.
early
And I
predictions
haven't,
on
I haven't fully scouted out VCU
it?
or Mount St. Mary's, but again, being the rabid fan that I am, and if we're only gonna have 4 losses total, hey,
They gotta win. They gotta win these, right?
It ain't gonna be VCU and Mount St. Mary's.
Excuse me. Yeah, they're I think those two next games are. I have to take a look. I know Mount St. Mary's gives us a pretty good run sometimes, and I haven't seen VCU. So your point is that could be one of those ones where we see what we're made of. And like I said, we'll talk about some of these other upcoming games. I think there's a little bit of a Southeast road trip they're making here. I think not too far in the distant future, we'll see them down in Greenville, North Carolina, playing against East Carolina. So there's a few games that'll let us know what they're made of. So I see it. I see it for sure. Yeah, it's going to be exciting. So my hope is that we'll be able to see them. Sometimes we don't get to get the stream. So as a fan, I want to make sure that I can hopefully get the video so we can see them play. I can only imagine sometimes, right? What's going on. So, but yeah, this is good, man. I'm glad we spent the first part of our chat today just talking about our ladies team. Sometimes, we don't appreciate how good we really are at times because we tend to jump into, other games that are interesting. But yeah, well, I think Coach Grace, thank you for your kind of giving the flowers to Coach Grace early. Maybe we'll get her on the show here as the season progresses so she can give us some inside scoops on how she really does what she does. So exciting times. Looking forward to our Lady Bison continue their win streak, even as early as tomorrow Sunday, when we get to see what they do at our VCU Rams team that's visiting. So, all right. So, we can't get through the episode here without talking a little bit about our men's team. You set us up nicely. I think you got us all kind of, hyped up about the very first game. We decided to go against the number 1 team in all the land preseason, Kansas, Jayhawks, Rock Chalk, Jayhawks. I think you even had us thinking that we would shock the world. And I guess,
Yeah.
I'm just saying. So after taking in the first game, where are you landing now, sir? Like, where are you?
Well, okay. All right. Bison Nation, America, we didn't pull off the dub.
Right.
But that's okay.
Okay.
That's okay.
Okay.
Maybe just like the team, maybe we weren't ready to really face the number 1 team in the nation. And so yes, I was wrong. Yeah. That's all right.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
It happens.
Hey, man. So I know I can't wait for your overreaction here, but I will say that with all fairness, right? The first half of that game probably gets you understanding that there's probably a little bit that goes into, like, unlike our ladies team, the men's team, because of NIL, because of the transfer portal, we're kind of building a new team almost every season. So the fact that we've been able to be a 2-time MEAC championship team and go to the March Madness rounds, early rounds, two years in a row, which, we had 30 years before that, we couldn't pull it off. But to do it, we know there's a different combination because we don't keep the players as long as we can. So the first half of that game, was very interesting because it did seem like we were trying to find our identity and figure out, kind of who are the gamers, right? I think we talked about this in our prep meeting. We were talking about how we wanted to see how some players on paper that look good, and even in the exclusive, practice we were able to go to during homecoming weekend, we saw some glimpses of some ballers, some players, right? But it's not till you turn that bright light on that you see what you're really working with. So that first half looked like we were still figuring it out, but the second half we kind of stayed toe to toe. So we scored with them. It didn't feel like it because we couldn't get within the 30-point lead that it emerged, but we were at least playing at that point. But it's almost like it took us 20 minutes to figure out we could play on the court with the number one team in the land. So what did you see? Like, what were some of the things that stood out to you? Just getting past the fact that they weren't ready to shock the world. What did you see?
So I saw it was just rust.
Mm,
I saw rust.
mm,
Uh, just not crisp passing. No, not good communication on defense. And again, these are all areas that room for growth. But
mm-hmm,
just definitely saw a team that probably has been practicing for who knows how long, and had two warm-up games, but for that first kind of big bright light scenario, I just kind of saw, hey, we got some things to work on. It's probably was great for Coach Blakeney, because I'm sure he was able to go into film study in the film
mm-hmm,
room, and
mm-hmm,
because, as he always says, there's a standard that we play for the men's program. There's a
mm,
standard,
mm,
and I'm sure he could point to plenty of segments during that game where he could say this wasn't the standard
right,
at all.
right.
And so that's it's food for the coach to go in, coach him up, develop him. We know him as a leader of men, a
Mm-hmm,
developer, and
mm-hmm,
so always trying to kind of keep the glass half full. I just saw it as, all right, he's going to have a lot of film to work with, a lot of motivation, a lot of development tools that he can point to say, we can do better, guys. We can do better. And you remember from the men's team, they got a pretty good social media presence as well.
they do,
And
they do.
during his pregame for Kansas, he basically said, "Hey, I expect you to go out there and handle your business."
Mm,
I mean, the coach should expect his players to
they
go
should,
out and handle their business. And
they
so,
should.
seeing as that was his expectation, again, I'm sure he used that film to go, this was not handling business. This was not handling business.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And what's exciting about the what you're pointing out here is that I do see that the very first game gave the best learning opportunity to know how much you have to grow as a team to compete. And I will say that after the shock of kind of the game wears off, knowing that we spend most of our non-conference play on the men's side, really just trying to get a feel for what our team's made of. We got to go through some things because with new pieces, new teammates, you got to figure that out. So I love the fact that Coach KB tends to be very aspirational when he says, "This is what I'm looking for," and I think he does it so that we don't lose sight of the fact that we may not always hit that mark, but it's not because we're not trying, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is good. So I will say that I don't want to dwell on that first game because it was rough. We got a chance to know that we're not necessarily ready for prime time when it comes to number one team. But however, just a few short days later, we made our way over to Columbia, Missouri, and got a chance to play against a rebuilding Missouri team. That team had lost to an HBCU team. I think it was Jackson State last year about this time, and so I don't know about you, but I thought that this may be a game that was ripe for the picking. I think you may have actually thought that this may be the next shock the world moment. But talk to me, man. What did you see when we squared up with the Tigers from Missouri?
So, and it's probably a good transition, because what I saw in terms of the standard, from the Kansas game to the Missouri game, we go back to the Kansas game. I think Marcus Dockery, one of our 3-point threats, he may have gotten up 4 shots. I mean, we could always, look at the stats, but that's not what we do. Marcus Dockery is our premier 3-point shooter. But when you look at the Missouri game, he had plenty of shots that he got up and made quite a few. And so, like I said, again, to me, that's the standard. Got to get Doc open shots. He's lethal from the 3-point line, and he showed it during that game. I even like that Bryce Harris was, connecting from the 3. We know he's coming off I think it's a toe surgery, so he's still kind of working his way back in. But it was very encouraging to see him. I definitely remember 2 3-pointers that he knocked down. But so I liked the aggressiveness in terms of our shooting, getting Doc open. I liked, of course, my man Blake Harper, who I talked about on the first episode.
Yeah, he did.
He's definitely on my players to watch. A freshman.
Yeah,
I'm seeing a theme here with our freshmen, men and women, doing big things. But
that's right.
Blake had with like 16, I believe, against Kansas. You can just see his confidence growing throughout the game, even in the Mizzou game. And so I'm encouraged to see him continue to develop. I think he's got a nice outside shot. He gets a lot of rebounds. I believe he grew. In the program, I think they have him at 6'5", but I think he might be closer to 6'7".
Yeah,
and so
he's in the growth spurt for sure.
Yeah, so I saw him kind of developing his confidence early on in the game, and I mean, I would say probably by the second half, if you didn't know our roster, I don't think you would think that he was a freshman playing against top 5, Power 5 school. So I saw us playing much more competitively. We grabbed more rebounds. We were running our set offenses, even though, we weren't, we did have the lead or we weren't winning. The guys were competing, and they were competing hard. And I think it showed, when we got to within 4 with about 3 or 4 minutes left, that's the standard right there. Play hard, competitive, excellent communication. The defense was a lot better. Offensive execution was better. It was very, very encouraging as we get ready, for more non-conference play and heading into conference play. It was to see, we always talk about, it's not what happens, at first. It's the adversity. It's how you react. So to get mollywopped against Kansas.
That's a technical term. Technical term is mollywopped.
Yes. We get it. No need to sugarcoat it. We got mollywopped. But
yes, we did.
But to get mollywopped and to not hang your head down and to come back 3 days later against Missouri, who I believe has one of the top recruiting classes for this year. So to go against that Missouri team and compete hard and really have a chance to win the game tells me again a lot about the grit, grind, and determination that Coach Blakeney is instilling in that program. Leaves me very, very encouraged about where we're headed, not only for this season, but beyond.
Oh, yeah. No, I agree with you there. I think going against some of they were big guys. We were jumping against 6'7" and above. So the fact that we were able to play competitively with a little bit of a size disadvantage lets us know that our approach, is competitive no matter what the big, how big someone is. Now, granted, we probably need, Dom to get off injured reserve so he can, be able to bang a little bit with the big guys down low. Mark Mitchell made the transfer from Duke after playing a couple of years there at a high level. So we're going against elite, level talent with the recruiting class that you mentioned before, and even some of the transfers. So to go toe to toe, I'm feeling confident that we're going to learn a lot during the non-conference play. That as we've been projected to win another MEAC championship, it's going to be because this team comes together. So talk to me, man. I know we're kind of running into a little bit of time crunch here, but I wanted to see if you could hit us with some of your tips that are coming up for that as you've seen the first two games, and then we can jump into over and under reactions because I think that'll be fun for folks to hear early in the season what we're thinking. So give me some tips what you're seeing coming out of the first two games for the men.
I would say, one of my biggest tips, and is Blake Harper near the basket seems to be. We only got a 2-game,
sample
size, but he looks like he knows what he's doing when he's around the basket. And so, I know they got him listed, I believe, as guard, but I don't really want to see him a lot out on the 3-point line in terms of trying to make the offense work. I want to see him out there shooting shots, but I don't necessarily need to see him trying to initiate the offense from above the arc. I think if we can get him more around the basket, be it, some pick and rolls with some of the smaller guards and shift him over down into the paint, into the post. I think that's going to be a winning formula for us. And I think it's going to help develop Blake as well. So I want to see that more with our guards, trying to get him in that very, very cliche, get him the ball in the best spots for him to prosper. And so, we got 2 people out still. Like I said, Dom is out. We still haven't seen Manure Hema play. So I don't know how that's going to affect the front court and spacing in the front court, and whether or not that's really going to put, Blake back out on the perimeter. But I'd like to see a lot of good stuff happened when he was in the paint. And so,
yeah, I mean, moving him down closer to the basket actually spurred the run we went on. We were, kind of getting, we couldn't get within 15 points for a long time, and to get to that 4-point deficit with 3 minutes left, I think we may have run out of gas a little bit because we had the same guys running the whole every 4-minute segment, right, of the second half. But it wasn't, he started the second half and that changed right away. And I think to your point, having the offense kind of run through him seemed to be an advantage for us because it gave Bryce some space to be able to orchestrate from where he is. He picked up his offense as well. So I think that you're right. I think getting him the ball in places where he can make everybody better is an opportunity. I think that's definitely one of the looks we should be trying to perfect, as we're getting into the non-conference season. Any other tips? Any other tips on your mind?
I would say it's so cliche to say, but just better guard play. I like.
Oh, you got me all choked up here.
I know. I like Jaren Johnson and Anwar Gill. And again, it's early. It's early in the season, but I want to see them kind of work together more because they have the skill set. As KB coach says, and this is what puts me on the overreaction bandwagon and why I thought we were going to shock the world. Is you think about all of the good teams that Coach Blakeney has had, once the momentum started going this way, and for Coach to say this is the best team that he has, I'm like, okay, we can do some big things if he's saying that this is the best team that he's had, and because we've had some pretty good teams before.
We've had some championship quality teams, absolutely.
Indeed,
so play it through, man. So where's your first overreaction then, as a result of thinking about this? Where are you landing with overreactions?
The overreaction, and I still have the stink of the Kansas game.
Oh man.
Was there, but that overreaction was like, oh man, we're not ready for prime time. That was the overreaction after the Kansas game.
Got it.
But just the guard play, room for growth, overreaction. But like I said, we got the skill set. We know the talent is there. And so expecting big things. And again, it's early, small sample size. So we just got to work it through. We got to be as patient, I'm sure, as coach is with the squad, and watch the guard play develop and grow. So, yeah.
Well, so right there with you. My overreaction is that I believe, based on what Coach Blakely has shared about the quality of the team we have and the team we're building. I actually think that this may be the first time in our program history where we would have a winning record in non-conference play. Usually we wind up kind of, playing that through and taking the learnings, and then we try to do our thing in conference play. But I think that my overreaction is that with the quality of team that we got a chance to see with our own two eyes, even with the not being super ready for the Kansas game, I think the team, as they start to get their footing, we're going to see them win some games. I think, just to kick off, the underreaction is that I do think that with the talent we have, there should be at least 3 looks that we can give, where if we go big, small, shoot inside, outside, it should be hard for us to be scouted. So I would love for us to play through and understand what are those 2 or 3 looks that even if you think you can stop one thing, we can flip, into a different mode. And it does come back from making sure everybody's off injured reserve and, being able to work them in. I remember when Coach Blakely used to do the 5-5 substitution. I didn't like it at first, admittedly, because I just didn't understand how you could get any kind of continuity. But taking maybe a derivative of that, knowing that if you see certain lineups come in, it could mean that you see Blake going down low and you start running the offense from the post versus swinging everything from one side to another, because we can shoot. Our shooters, when they shoot, we shoot. And we know in the Missouri game, the reason we only lost by 15 instead of 30 was we shot lights out. So if we can shoot and we give people different looks, I think we can get, a winning record in non-conference play. That would be my overreaction to kind of stay with as we go through here. What about you?
So, well, my underreaction will be the same advice Aaron Rodgers gave to the Packers when he was with them. All we have to do, and it's based on the growth that we saw from the Kansas game to the Missouri game. So my underreaction is we just need to RELA. Relax.
Okay.
We're gonna be all right. We're gonna be all right. So,
well, I'll take that under advisement. I don't know how we'll do that, since when you and I both watch these games, we do anything but relax. But I'll take your advice. So let's look ahead. I know we got a couple of games coming up in the next week here. What you seeing? What are you thinking?
So I haven't scouted Dillard.
Okay.
And I don't want to take them for granted.
Okay.
But I'm expecting. I'm seeing a W there.
Okay.
And that's going to be at the Burr. So
that's an early game. Early game at the Burr, right? Early game
at the Burr. We got a home court advantage. I'm looking for Bison Nation to come out, pack the house. Pack the Burr. I believe that is the theme of the team. Pack the Burr. So I believe with a packed Burr, we're going to take care of Dillard. So that's Monday, November 11th at 12 p.m. And then I'll be at this game, which is November 13th against Tennessee State in Atlanta, Georgia, at Georgia State. So that's Wednesday, 7 p.m., November 13th. Now, I got a little PTSD from the Howard football homecoming. Hoping who we play Tennessee State. So hoping they don't have the basketball team from Tennessee State doesn't have a hangover and feel like they can do the same to our basketball team, but without having scouted them. And, we'll discuss them, how this week went, the next episode. But I'm looking for a W. I'm looking for a W there as well. And, of course, since I'm going to be there bringing that rabid fan energy, that might just help put us over the top. So
I think so. You know what? I would expect nothing less, because I think, was it last year you kind of had the team out there for the Georgia Tech game that we almost pulled off at the end of the game. I knew it was you being there. So I think you're part of the secret sauce, bro. I think you're part of the secret sauce. So I look forward to it. Matter of fact, I can't wait to hear kind of what the energy is like. With coming to Atlanta, it's kind of like we call it our Howard University South. That's where we got a lot of alums and supporters and fans that like to come out and support. So I'm looking forward to to hearing your on the court side reporting on that one, because you'll get a chance to see the energy up and close and personal. And you're right, we're gonna come back live to everybody that's listening on Bison Brothers broadcast for basketball. We want to see folks that are trying to take it in, and we're going to share with you what we're learning. So, hey man, time is flying, bro. We're actually having some fun here, and thank you for putting the seed out there to say, as alum that have become kind of diehard fans, how can we share our love of what's going on? So, any closing remarks for the people as we wrap up episode 2?
Hey, the main closing remarks is number one, tell everybody about the Bison Brothers Basketball Podcast. Hit the subscribe, hit the like button, spread the word. And then two, as this program continues to grow, donate. Donate to the NIL Collective, the Mecca Society, and donate to University Athletics so that the program can continue to grow. And we're just going to be perennial MEAC championship contenders and tourney deep run contenders. So support the program, support the podcast. This is for all fans of Bison basketball. And so that's my closing message.
I love it, bro. We're gonna have some fun this season. As Chip says, we want to build fans, but in order to build fans, we got to support the team. So if you have a chance to see the team go, even if they're traveling to places that we don't think a lot of people are there, when they see us in the stands, it means a lot. And we'll look forward to it. I know, Chip, we're gonna get some guests on the podcast here. We got Eric coming on, our aficionado, that will come on and talk to us a little bit about some of our Where Are They Now alumni connections that we're going to make here. So this is the number one broadcast for HU Bison basketball. We love that you are taking time to listen to us, and please subscribe. And so with that, Be Smooth, got Chip Washington, and we're out. We'll see you later. You know